The Washington Post ran an editorial mocking the idea of a looming retirement crisis. To make sure that no one missed the point, they even put the words retirement crisis in quotation marks. No retirement crisis? Tell that to the millions of Americans who are facing retirement without a pension. Tell that to the millions of Americans who have nothing to fall back on except Social Security. There is a $6.6 trillion gap between what Americans under 65 are currently saving and what they need to maintain their standard of living when they hit retirement.
Senator Elizabeth Warren, a top Democrat in the Senate, introduced a plan a few weeks ago to change the cost of living adjustment for Social Security benefits. The premise behind Senator Warren's proposal, her argument, is that the government does not accurately take inflation into account or take into account the amount of money that senior citizens spend when calculating benefits. Last night, the senator spoke on the Senate floor, and today we bring you the very latest information on the Social Security debate. As promised, my guest today provides an opposing viewpoint to our Social Security discussion from yesterday. I welcome now the Executive Director of Social Security Works, Alex Lawson. Alex, thanks for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me.
First, can you give our viewers a quick summary of Senator Warren's statements on the floor of the Senate last night?
I can. It's actually important to note that what she's talking about is not changing the calculation for the COLA. It's that this year there's been a unique situation where people are not going to receive a COLA next year. So you're talking about 70 million Americans who have begun to receive letters today informing them that they will not receive a cost of living adjustment for next year. And so Senator Warren put forward a bill for a one-time payment to the 70 million Americans of around $580. Because although the COLA is not going up next year, people's prices, the prices they pay for things, certainly are.
All right, I want to ask you the exact same, the identical question that I asked my conservative guest yesterday. Now, in your opinion, do you think the government is wrong in how they are measuring inflation in regards to these benefits?
So I think that what you're looking at, there's two separate issues. In terms of how the government is measuring inflation and how that's used to calculate the cost of living adjustment, I do think that it's wrong. Because the point of the cost of living adjustment is to make sure that the benefits that workers have earned throughout their entire life, right? I mean, you and I pay into the Social Security system. It's our money. And part of that benefit is that when I retire or if a person becomes seriously disabled and is no longer able to work, that the benefits they receive do not erode over time. And that's accomplished with the COLA. Now, the COLA is calculated based on I don't want to get too into the weeds, but a basket of goods. And that basket of goods is supposed to represent basically what they spend their money on. The problem is that the majority of people relying on Social Security are seniors or people living with disabilities, and they're facing different costs than the rest of America. And so I think it is important that in the future, we have a discussion about what kind of calculation we use, and I am in favor of switching to what's called the CPI-E, which more accurately predicts the costs faced by seniors, people living with disabilities. But I will point out that that is not what Senator Warren's bill is addressing. She's really focused in on this unique situation that because oil prices have dropped by about 50%, that, because of the way it's calculated, on average, wipes out all the other cost increases that your viewers obviously know are taking place.
Right. Now, you mentioned that the Democrats don't want benefits to diminish for those as they get older or if they're seriously disabled in some way. But I thought my guest yesterday did have a good point when he talked about life expectancy being higher now than it ever has been before. Now, Democrats still have a problem with raising the retirement age from 67 to perhaps 68 or 69. Are you opposed to that?
Adamantly opposed to that, and I think the vast majority of the American people, when you ask them, are as well, because what you're talking about with the retirement age is just an across-the-board benefit cut. I don't want to get too technical, but the real disservice is that it's called the retirement age, because it really has absolutely nothing to do with the age at which you retire. It's actually the age at which your benefits are calculated to be full, right? So for my generation, that's 67. Now, let's say that you raise that to 68. What that means for me is an across the board, what that means for me is a benefit cut of about 7%. And that's across the board. That's for everyone. So each year you raise the age, the retirement age, you're talking about a 7% benefit cut. So to raise it from 67, where it's already going...
Republicans agree that something needs to be done. The monetary situation in Social Security, it's in dire straits. It can't continue how it is. Something needs to be done. Are there any benefits that you would support cutting? Because it's going to become unsustainable for all of us, for all the future generations who are going to rely on that money. What would you support cutting?
I don't support cutting even a single penny of the benefits that we've earned. So since you pay into it, since I pay into it, this is our money. And if you're going to cut my benefits, what you're doing is you're reaching into my pocket and you're stealing my money. Now, right now, Social Security can pay 100% of promised benefits out for a few decades. We have a few decades to decide what to do, and I think there's a simple solution to what to do. But first, I want to point out that after 2033, Social Security can still pay about 80% of its benefits forever. So this is not dire straits. This is actually the definition of a system that works the exact way that it's supposed to. Now, you ask me what I would do to make sure that we can pay 100% of benefits forever. It's a simple solution, and the vast majority of the American people agree as well. What we need to do is remove the cap on income that people pay into the system on. So right now, you only pay into the system up to $118,500 of your wages. After that, you don't pay any into Social Security. So what I say is, let's make millionaires and billionaires pay the same rate as the rest of us, and that way we can not only pay 100% of benefits forever, but we can even talk about expanding the program to address that retirement income crisis that Senator Warren was talking about in your lead-in.
All right, thank you so much, Alex, for appearing on the program. We are out of time tonight, but I hope you'll come back again.